to make sure it's 1/8 of an inch, which it looks proud to me. I'm sure it is. Yeah, it's a little too much, because that's got to go down that little 1/8 inch hole we drilled in the top. So we'll just, this part doesn't have to be real smooth. It's actually better if it's kind of rough, because then the glue has something to kind of bond to. Okay, that's in good shape. For my tiny little 1/32, I have that little hole there on the end. We'll just drill this little hole there. That's enough. Now, just to make things fun, give it a little bit of color. I'll just take a little Sharpie here. While it's turning, we'll color this up with the Sharpie. Put a little finish on it. And take a little bit of the ink away. See how we look. Okay, there's our little ball for our hanger. Now, you can do this or not. You could put a little eye there, an eyelet, right onto the roof. So this will go into the roof like that. Now let's make us a perch. And again, that needs to be around 1/8 of an inch. Probably about 3/4 of an inch long. Now if we make one end taper, that makes it really easy to put into the birdhouse. Yeah, it's awfully big, but we'll fix that with the now, especially with this small. The rotational velocity is pretty good, but the linear velocity at the surface where it touches the sandpaper isn't really all that high. So you can definitely get away with sanding pretty good with a high speed, and then I don't have to spend a lot of time. I guess if I had a nice variable speed drive. Whoop. We make another one. Okay, now we're going to make the perch. And just last year I got lazy and just bought an 1/8 inch dowel. I thought it was ridiculous for me to spend hours doing these things when for $1 or so I can go buy a dowel, then just hack them off as I needed them. So there's a little pin. I tapered this end to go into the birdhouse. Use the sandpaper to round this end off. I need to keep it moving because there's a lot of rotational velocity, but not really a whole lot of linear velocity because the diameter is so small. Okay, get out our Sharpie and we'll do a perch that matches the nice decorated perch. We have our finish over here. Now we part this off. And time to go assemble. Put it all together. Okay, now we're inside the comfort of the house instead of out in the hot garage. I make my own hanging hoops instead of buying little screw eyes. So I buy this 22 gauge artistic brass wire and I just bend it around a nail, grab it with my forceps that I used to use for pulling fish bones, but since I'm not a chef anymore, we don't worry about that. And I just twist, pull a little bit so it keeps it straight, and then also makes it twist nice and uniform. So there we have our hoop. Just cut that off, and then that sits down in there just perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little super glue in this bottom of this tea light, just so get kind of soaked up. And because I've got a little bit of arthritis going on, maybe more than a little bit of arthritis. Get glue on there. Put that down the hole. Now I've got this in my hand. I'm going to take and get some glue on the end of this little tenon here. That fits in there. It's got a roof. Take our little perch, right, and then twist it in with that. So there's our perch right there. Now I like to have these little cups, so when I get to this point, put some super glue in there. I usually twist this around, looks like, then I can just let it dry like that. Should be ready to hang. This is one I did earlier this morning. Tried to video it too, but had some issues. I was looking and I didn't have the camera done right, but you can see this is kind of similar. Only I didn't color the little drop on there or the perch. Perch just adds a little accent to it. There you are. That's how I make my birdhouses. Hope you enjoyed.